take on that as we keep an eye on the president as well. So, Denise and David, and starting with you, David, what do you make of the White House's argument here that, this is clearly within the president's power and has been so for years?
Yeah, it's not clearly within the president's power, and that's what the courts have indicated. Look, we have the Constitution, we have the Posse Comitatus Act from 1878 that was put into law to really safeguard against these actions, against the militarization of the United States, that they would be the police and patrolling the grounds. That's why we have these laws in effect. And so we're forced to, dust off the law books and look at the policies and the intent of these laws because President Trump is making these new precedents. We all understand that we do not want a nation that has militarization and patrols going through the streets of our country. And we've seen it from our mayors, from our governors. They say, look, we don't need or want the National Guard right now. When we need them, we will definitely ask for them and welcome them. But this is only a distraction, confusion, and is causing more chaos to the situation and even putting our National Guard and public citizens in harm's way.
Denise, what do you say to people who say, this makes America look not like a democracy, but like a tin pot dictatorship, seeing these troops going into streets where often, as in Portland, Oregon, violent crime is actually falling, not rising?
Well, I would say that in places like Washington, D.C., where I live, I'm really grateful to have the National Guard there. When I wasn't able to find a place to live or a place that my 86-year-old mother could walk safely because there was so much raging crime in the streets. Now, Portland's a different issue, but I would say that because it's not like D.C. in terms of violent crime, but if a city is only peaceful or law-abiding when we don't enforce the federal laws, that's not peace, that's appeasement. And so I think the difference is when you send it in the National Guard for a specific purpose, which is actually codified in the Insurrection Act, it says, and I would say, the Attorney General of Oregon also brought up, the Constitution, and I'll deal with that next. But I just want to read the text of Title 10. It talks about the Insurrection Act. It says, when a state or locality opposes or obstructs execution of the U.S. laws or impedes justice, the president shall take necessary measures using militia or armed forces to suppress such insurrection. So what you're seeing in
Denise,
Oregon...
can I just jump in there? Is there an insurrection in Oregon?
At the ICE facilities, there are.
That's not how the police chief himself has described it in an op-ed that he wrote in the Oregonian.
I understand that might be the case, but anyone who has eyes can see that what's happening in Oregon, in Chicago, in LA, in San Francisco, my home state, where ICE agents are being doxxed, where they're having lasers shown in their eyes, where there are cars that are being rammed in to prevent ingress and egress from federal buildings. Those are all insurrection acts because those actions are obstructing execution of the U.S. immigration laws. It's as clear as black and white.
Denise, is it a coincidence that these are all Democrat-run cities?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Is it a coincidence that these are all Democrat-run cities that he's sending these troops into?
Absolutely not. Everything is political with President Trump, as is everything with the Democratic governors that are coming out. Every one of the leading Democratic voices coming out, with the exception of Oregon, are all people who are vying to be president of the United States. Governor Newsom, in my home state of California, Governor Pritzker, all potential Democratic nominees, frontrunners. And that's okay. I don't mind the politics of it all. But as somebody who between Washington, D.C. and the Bay Area of California, where ICE agents who are hired by the taxpayers to execute on the bipartisan immigration laws aren't doing their job, that's a problem.
I've got to jump in there because we've run out of time. And now, David, you had a comment as well. We're going to talk more after a short break. So